Good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Live the Fuel show. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the newer listeners, we talk a lot about health, business, and lifestyle, right? We're all about fueling you. The regular listeners, we've been doing it for over 3 years, going on 3.5 years. And I love tracking down new guest co-hosts. Now, granted, in the past year, it's gotten a little bit easier. There's all these different I'm calling them pod agencies. We'll make that a new word. But they're sending me great guys, great girls, lots of different knowledge, entrepreneurs, authors, health gurus. In this case, maybe something around tonight, we might be talking a little about concierge, health, fitness. I actually knew a few people in this space, probably about a year ago we had on the show. Might discuss a little about healthy lifestyle, maybe some coaching. So let me give you a quick skinny on our new guest co-host tonight. This gentleman is an internationally recognized expert in the fitness and nutrition space. He's actually the founder of a brand online called MetPro. That's right, MetPro. It's the world's first algorithm-based, and I love my math, algorithm-based transformation engine. We're going to dig into that because I'm a techie guy too. But it's all about, they use metabolic profiling. They analyze your metabolism and actually provide an individualized approach to obtaining your health goals. And for the regular listeners, I love my CrossFit, and we've been discussing a lot how CrossFit's just a brand. We're talking about functional health, functional fitness, functional movements. But he's actually been featured on, maybe a TEDx. Okay, I haven't done that yet. I've been asked to do it. Might have to get around to it. He also works with CrossFit athletes. He's also worked with people in the scope of Olympic athletes, NFL MVPs, physique models, business leaders, you name it. A lot going on with this gentleman. Maybe got some exposure on Men's Health, Sports Illustrated, Wall Street Journal, Huffington Post. I don't know, man. This guy's been around the block. So without further ado, the MetPro man himself, Angelo Poli. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me. I woke up this morning and said, today's the day I get to talk to Scott. It's going to be a good day.
That's it. Good time to get fired up. All right. So welcome. By the way, love the backdrop. Because I'm a marketing guy, are you using a vinyl backdrop, or is that actually like wall vinyl? It's actually on the wall.
That is a great question. The people a lot smarter than me could probably answer it, but they threw that up not too long ago, and I can see the reflection. I go, that looks great.
Yeah. Oh, it's very sharp, actually. So again, ladies and gentlemen who are hearing this that are newer, we always post all these shows to YouTube. So if you're more of a video person, don't forget to subscribe. So anyway, you're rocking MetPro, right? Obviously, you like the whole profiling, metabolic. I get it. All right. Yep. Very good marketing, very good verbiage. I like it. So why? What got you into all this, man? I mean, the health and fitness space is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very hard to start showing up.
So MetPro is just kind of the nickname that it got over the course of years. It's short for metabolic profiling. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds very computerized and mathematical, and there is definitely a large component of that to it, which I'd love to talk about. But the main entree of what we do is we specialize in high-profile transformations.
Okay.
When somebody wants to work with the experts, they have real questions about their body. They don't want a cookie cutter approach. They want to know what they can realistically expect and have a breadcrumb trail of the exact action steps to get from point A to point B. Those are the people that'll reach out, work with us, and we love doing it. As you said, we get to work with anything from the athletic world to, grandparents wanting more energy to play with the kids. So I have a blast with what I do, and it's been an interesting journey here, but I love all things related to the science of metabolism, because that's the most misunderstood key of transforming, in my opinion, and the area that most people say they're confused in. So that's what we spend a lot of time teaching and educating about.
So I have to dig into this because I've been around the health and fitness space a while myself. So I know, not everybody knows this. I mean, a lot of people, once you dig in deep, you do the self-education, you meet with the experts, you meet with the coaches, you interview a lot of doctors, a lot of biologists. I find that a lot of people drive on the metabolism factor, and this is huge. So I love I want to dig into your approach. But another component of that, and I'm intrigued to see if you guys include this in your profiling and your research, is do you guys get into the impacts of hormones? and your natural alignment. For example, two key hormones, leptin and ghrelin, they nickname them the hunger hormones, right? The ones that trigger and open up that weight loss, weight gain. And then obviously metabolism comes into all that. So I'm just wondering, is that all in your process?
All of it's considered. What I'm interested most in is the end result, the action steps.
Okay.
So there's 100, and even backing up a little bit more, the reason I got into educating in this space is because, like you said, it's a huge space.
Oh, it's huge.
There's 1,000,001 experts.
It doesn't shrink.
It never shrinks. It only goes in one direction.
Yeah.
I've seen every diet plan work, which is why there's so much confusion out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you always hear, well, that doesn't work. This doesn't work. Well, I've dieted over the course of, almost 2 decades now. I've dieted almost 20,000 people. I have seen every single approach work for someone. The question is, which approach is the most appropriate for you today? And then how do we measure and quantify? And that's going to take into consideration all of these factors, but I'm going to always dial in and hone in on the ones that are most actionable. In other words, people come to me, Angelo, I've worked with specialists, I've done fitness programs, I know a little bit about nutrition. Here's what I want. I want to be able to, bench 300 pounds. I want to be able to squat 1.5 or 2 times my body weight. I want to beat my mile record. Oh, by the way, I want to sub 10% body fat. Can I accomplish all these things? And the answer is yes,
Sure.
You can. But here's what you have to tell me. Which one do you want to do first? So here starts the process of strategically identifying what our very first step is. The very first step isn't the same for everyone. So I don't know how you want to tackle it, but I usually talk about the 5 things that we look at in order to determine how we approach transformation.
I definitely want to get that, but actually let's pause real quick.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to hear your feedback on something I became more passionate about. I don't like the word diet anymore. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree.
It's a short-term mindset, is it not?
Yeah, that's right.
It's been branded that way. The magazines have shifted it. Everything is the new fad diet. And I'm like, because that's what I'm hoping to hear out of you is, what is going to build sustainability?
Great question,
What is
Scott.
the lifestyle we're going to get out of this?
Yeah.
A diet is a flash in the pan. You said every diet works? Sure. In the first 90 days, every diet works.
Yep.
Especially if you came off of the fast food manufactured processed garbage train.
That's it.
That a lot of people come off of. I could put you on a broccoli diet, which is going to be really boring after a while, but you'll probably start feeling amazing coming off of McDonald's and processed manufactured delivery or TV dinners or whatever. So
I don't care much about the semantics of naming. What I'm interested in is the deeper what goes into it. And what we're really talking about, what you're really saying is something that I'm passionate about, and that is goals versus values. And I'll give you a classic example. We'll get somebody who'll reach out and say, I'm getting married in 3 months. It is my goal to be in the best shape of my life. So for the next 3 months, my job, if done right, is to turn those goals, use them as stepping stones to broader values. And the difference is a person who adopts along the way those goals as values, as part of their daily living and their ongoing routine and preferences and hierarchy in life. Those people are going to not only reach those goals, but continue getting better and better and better over time.
Sure.
But what do we see? I was in the best shape of my life for my wedding, and then he or she, that's the best we ever were, and then it's done because it was a goal. It came, we completed it, the objective is passed, and now we move on, and we haven't really adopted it. So I am right there with you. So a really better way of putting it, I think, is nutritional strategy. And the only way we can have strategy is figuring out how our bodies personally work and are responding.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the biggest approach there is I like how you tie in values, because again, as we just clarified, most diets are going to work. Right? It's a short-term approach, but I like the fact that yes, goals, a lot of people haven't figured out the long-term goal yet. They need to find those initial triggers, those initial first round goals. That's going to at least start building the momentum. And back to your point, like, okay, fine, we're going to get the momentum. We're going to get them to buy into it, adopt to it, make it a part of their life. And then, okay, and then we can start seeing the impacts that are going to become sustainable. And back to your keyword on your own website, lifestyle coaching. right? What is
Yeah.
that long-term approach? But I think the biggest thing psychologically that it sounds like you guys dig into, so now I want to get into this 5 things is, I've coached people in business, I've coached people in health, ski racing. I mean, you name it, I've done a lot. I've learned over the years one thing. You have 5, but I'm like, guys, if you haven't deep down found the why that makes your gut hurt, makes your brain hurt, because your gut health is tied to your brain health. But anyway, it just makes you hurt. And it's like, yes, that's it. That's the burning desire. That's what fires me up. Then you're wasting my time, because honestly, when the shit hits the fan, because it will, when the crap gets messy, that's when people bail, skip out. They haven't developed the values yet. It's just like, oh, all right. Oh, it got too hard, because they haven't developed that why, that mental commitment. What are your thoughts on that?
Reason behind it. Absolutely. And I'll add another factor to it. One of my good friends, who's also a coach, uses this illustration. He says there are few or virtually no things that will motivate humans as much as seeing progress. So you have to have a why, and then when you put in effort, you want to be met with momentum and progress. Otherwise, it's very discouraging. And I think that's really where metabolic profiling, where MetPro comes in, is a lot of people have heard from the experts, they read articles, or they did some research, and they start down this path. But if you've ever experienced that and not gotten all the results you expected or you had hoped for, then those are really the people I want to talk to. That's the problem that I'm trying to solve, is helping to educate people to identify and understand exactly what the cause and effect when it comes to unraveling the weight loss mystery, or figuring out how to change your body composition. And this can go multiple directions. Some people, some of my people in the entertainment field need to look differently for different roles they have. I have a lot that will do reality TV, and I had one gal that hired me to actually slow her metabolism, because she needed to put on a little bit of weight for the adventure show she was going to be on. And so whatever your goals are, there should be a strategic approach to it. And one of the ways I really like to approach that is I say, show me what you're doing. Tell me what you're eating. Share with me your training strategy, your lifestyle strategy. And I should be able to tell you what you're trying to accomplish. Because if I can't, then your training and your nutrition and your whole strategy has a little bit of identity crisis. It might be all great stuff. So I'll have, I work with a lot of NFL players. So I'll have these guys. I mean, these guys are experts. They're some of the best in the world.
Yeah, you're a pro athlete for a reason.
They're a pro athlete for a reason. Yeah. They'll ask me, they're calling me to critically evaluate their training protocol. Well, I'm not going to, I'm not teaching them anything they don't know. What I'm helping them do is identify, okay, here are your stated goals. Here's what you want to accomplish. Now, if I look at your training plan, everything is great. I love everything that's there. Here's the problem. Of the 14 hours a week you're in training, 2 of those hours are directly correlated to your stated objectives and primary goals. The other 10 or 12 are auxiliary. It's not that they're not good. Here's the biggest value add I can bring. Let's get your hours, let's get your efforts directly lining up with your goals, and that creates the magical element that we need for results, and that is specificity. Then we can force the body to adapt beyond the point that it's already at. And so that can be for high-end athletes, or it can be the person simply determining, I need to start and lose 100 pounds. How do I lose the first 5? What is my entry point? And that's what metabolic profiling is all about.
So how did you stumble across this? I mean, obviously you said you've been around the block. I know you got at least 20 years in the industry. And I agree. I mean, I tell people all the time, I mean, your metabolism is also affected by aging. So you have to be prepared to recalibrate.
I just lie to people and say age doesn't matter, because it's the one thing you can't control.
Right. You can't control the age, but I also believe, I work out with guys 50, 60 years old, and they're kicking ass and taking names.
That's right.
So because they've hit the reset, they realize, all I got to do is recalibrate. I got to tweak this, tweak that. It's cool. You can't change the aging component, but a lot of people use that as an excuse.
Well, it can be a free fall, or it can be a slow descent, depending on how you approach it. So it all comes back to that specificity and approach. And I talk mostly about nutrition, not that nutrition is any more important than diet. It's just the more misunderstood piece when it comes to metabolism, because no two people are alike. You can have two people doing the exact same meal plan, exact same nutritional strategy, and get polar opposite results.
Oh, I've had a well-known geneticist on this show. I had him take my 23andMe raw data. You can actually export your raw data out of that, and he does a full deep dive in your genetics. He tells you exactly the top vitamins and minerals that make sense for your genetic code, as well as like the chemicals that you should be avoiding that are even more detrimental to your chemical makeup. And then we tie this back into the importance of rest and recovery. Like people focus on like you said, nutrition all the time and the exercise, but it's like, okay, I can't tell you how many athletes I've coached in the CrossFit space. I'm like, their rest and recovery sucks. I'm like, what do you think that's doing to your metabolism?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
I think most people, especially the top athletes, well, you work with them. Do the top athletes nowadays have a better handle on understanding the value of something like rest and recovery, proper sleep cycles, all that kind of stuff?
It depends on the athlete, depends on where they're at and their season of life and their personality and what they're interested in, of course.
Okay.
Interestingly, though, and this may be skewed just by my personal experience, what I have found is that personal sports athletes tend to have really good coaches and they're very knowledgeable. Team sports still has a little catching up to do. Now, there are always exceptions to that rule. But
do you feel because they're missing the individualized coaching?
Yeah, probably. I would
one-on-one?
assume I would say that's half of it, and the other half is the the kind of mentality that, from high school athletic programs to college to, the bro sciences getting handed up.
So much bro science. So much. It's kind of and I'm guilty of it, dude. Like years ago, I was the men's health guy, dude. I mean, that printing company is founded right here in Pennsylvania, about 20 minutes from where I live. And women's health, men's health, all these publications. I have friends that are editors for that company. They write Bicycling Magazine and everything else. And I'm like,
done some writing for them. Yep, I'm familiar.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't order magazines anymore.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, eventually you know too much, or you find the right coaches or the right people that have taken you to a whole different level. And you're like, whoa, okay, I'm done with that. All that. I don't need that anymore. You've moved further down the timeline. You can work with more professional people to take it to the next level. So
absolutely.
I can't remember the last time I actually opened up a men's health magazine, but at the time it was my stepping stone.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't know any better. I need to start wrapping my head around this stuff. That was my first step. Like you said, you got to find people's first step. Like what's going in.
Let's help people do that. Let's see if we can get the light bulb moment for a few people. My goal today would be, Scott, to get people to think about metabolism and their transformation process a little bit differently. Just have a new idea or maybe approach they haven't thought about before. That's what really excites me.
Now, is that that excitement, is that what went into, and actually, let's go ahead and slap some screen sharing up here for the YouTube watchers. You've got an assessment on your site. Is that excitement kind of help you create these assessments that you now obviously have available for people to kind of get them to start getting their brains opened up?
And I didn't answer your question. You asked me earlier, how did we get started with this metabolic profiling? And it was basically the necessity that was born out of doing seminars and educational programs where I'd have a room full of people who would basically ask me, all right, Angelo, I've seen the athletes you work with. I know the professionals. What's the magic secret? What do I eat? How do I train? And needing to teach people in a very short amount of time what they need to do. So, it started with, okay, raise your hand if, and let me separate groups and, all of these pieces that little bit at a time, it finally dawned on me, you know what, I need to have everyone that's attending my seminar fill out this little questionnaire first. And it started with just 3 or 4 questions. I need to know about their body type, what their previous dieting history was, how they've responded in the past, what their goals are. Because I'm trying to solve the age-old problem, Scott, of people when I ask, so tell me, how do you eat? And they say, yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, they don't tell you everything right off the bat.
I don't know how you eat. Yeah. And I further don't know if how you're eating is going to produce the results that you want until I actually look at your data. So it's all about looking at where someone's at comparing it against what they're doing nutritionally, training, etc., and seeing if the delta, the difference, the cleavage, the separation between the two is what we would expect or not. And that is going to give us our mathematical equation. It's
So
that
your
just happened.
assessment's kind of helping, at least for you, because these people are probably new to you. So this is at least giving you a baseline of data.
That's
like,
it.
Okay, where's at least our bare minimum? You figured out, okay, these are at least, if you get me at least these questions answered, I could start with something.
The 5 things we absolutely have to identify are, first, we need to know what your body type and goal is. That's going to massively influence our approach. Just because 2 people are of similar stature doesn't mean that we're going to approach it the same way. They may have very different goals. I need to know about your lifestyle. So even as simple as carbs' role in your diet are going to be influenced by your lifestyle. You can't judge a nutritional plan exclusively on the merits of its nutrient profile. You also have to factor in its ability to be integrated into your lifestyle. Then we need to identify, are you strategic or metabolic? And that's basically a kind way of saying, are you someone who is at a plateau because your metabolism has done its job and adapted to what you're currently doing and no further adaptation is taking place until we change something? Or your metabolism's good. It's ready to roll. Your body wants to change, but behaviorally, from a lifestyle, you haven't been able to stay consistent enough with, or have enough follow through with the items that you're trying to achieve to initiate change. And then the last way is baseline testing. And that's where the magic happens, where we don't have to guess what you should or shouldn't be doing anymore. We can actually identify what it is that you're going to need. We're going to know if it's good news or if it's bad news. We're going to figure out exactly what those next steps are. And finally, put the nails in the coffin on the guesswork.
Well, I like where we're going with this, because I was actually just clicking on the how it works, but I realized you have a video that automatically queues up. So let me pause that.
All right.
So you're getting in, this is obviously, if people listen to this podcast, they can go to your site, they can go click on how it works. And this kind of sums up everything you just said, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
metpro.co.
Yeah.
And you can take the test. You can learn a lot of information, even if you're just there just to look around. It's a lot of good information that, again, will hopefully get you thinking a little differently, challenge what you think when it comes to understanding the nuances of metabolism.
Okay. Now, you've been put this place in a while. By the way, I like how you actually help clarify for people, like, hey, your metabolism may have already recalibrated. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know, like, oh, like your metabolism can change and it can adapt to where your new tier is. And then, like, I've helped people years ago. I helped people with some weight loss and transformational goals, and they're like, well, I feel like I've kind of flatlined. Right. And I'm like, well, that's okay. Because your body's catching up. And then then we'll take you into that next step to break you through. So, and a lot of people don't realize that. They don't realize, like, oh my God, dude, you've lived that way for the past, depending on obviously how they answer your assessment, but let's say it's 5 years of that lifestyle and you're ready to change. So you think that 5 years of that lifestyle is going to change overnight? No,
not so much. You're right, Scott.
The human biology is great at learning and adapting, and you already programmed it to do that thing that you're trying to get rid of. You got to break the program.
You know what you're talking about. You've been through this cycle before. You've seen it with people you've worked with.
Oh yeah.
So when you go through that profiling assessment, what it's going to help me to do and my team to do is to know what baseline test we're going to start you on. So the baseline testing is key. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, I'm all about hydrating. I'll join you. Good for the vocals.
There it is. What we do is we start someone. They onboard. They're going to talk with a dietitian, check the boxes, health, history, all that sort of thing. Then they're going to be introduced to their coach, who's going to literally walk with them day in and day out on this journey. But the very first part is they're going to be assigned a fairly specific meal plan that I'm going to ask someone to follow for just a few days. And this meal plan is not about producing weight loss or weight gain. It's a parsing. It's a measuring agent to see exactly how your body responds. So it's highly calculated, and it has the unique attribute of being measured. And I've had thousands and thousands of other people of your age, body type, goals before you eat bite for bite this exact same meal plan. So now I can compare how you respond against your history, how you've previously responded. And I can also compare how you've responded against thousands of others. And I can tell you definitively, on average, if your metabolic rate is running on the faster side or on the slower side. And I can't promise you good news. What I can promise you is accurate news. And once I have that, now I can help build a strategic approach, because there's a finite amount of levers. In other words, there's not a million ways to lose weight or change your body.
No, it's not rocket science. Everybody thinks it is. But I mean, like you said, there's a finite amount of levers. Once you figure out the right ones to flip,
those are the ones we use. The question is which one first, in what order, and to what degree. So speaking nutritionally, the two grandfather, and this is an oversimplification, of course, for the gurus out there, the two grandfather techniques are calorie control and carbohydrate restriction.
I can't stand the old calorie in, calorie out method.
Yeah.
I can't stand it, man. Because
I didn't
know any better years ago.
I get it. Yeah. But there are people
CICO is a thing of the past. I like how you actually start off by saying, what do you call it? The grandfather method or whatever it was? Like
two grandfather approaches.
Yeah, old school, dude. Yeah.
But there are undeniably, I mean, Weight Watchers, I mean, we can go on and on and on. These are approaches that hundreds and hundreds of time-tested programs, whether you like the result or like the approach, are implementing. So what do we implement? So we're going to figure out what area your body has the most proclivity towards, responds the best towards, and we're going to push into that direction. So where should we start at calorically? Should we reduce our amount of food, our food quantities, or should we manipulate carbohydrates? So a lot of people love carbohydrate manipulation. I do too. A lot of times I don't let someone immediately eliminate a lot of carbohydrates. And you know why? Because they don't need to yet. I can get the first 15 pounds off of them.
And depending on what they've done, or their lifestyle up to
where
that
they're
point,
coming from.
Everybody's, and again, I'm a big ketogenic guy, but not everybody's ready for that. But I'm like, guys, everybody goes through the keto flu, or long story short, it's your brain freaking out because you removed all that sugar load that was hammering it. And it just, you give it like 2-3 days and you're gone. But again, where's that person at? They might not be psychologically even ready to, even though your game plan might say, actually you are, but it's like, people are going to fight it too. I'm sure you have clients who fight the process.
And sometimes I like to keep a card up my sleeve to still play. So I'll give you a classic example. I've worked with a few people that were on The Biggest Loser after the fact to repair their metabolism. So I don't get the easy cases.
That show messes people up, dude.
So
I interviewed a guy from one of those shows.
Yeah.
He's like, they screw it all up.
But I know some of the coaches from the show and some of the trainers on the show, and these are good people with good intentions to help people. They want the best for their clients.
Yeah.
But the thing that happens is, from a metabolism standpoint, you can't take somebody and ram 6 hours a day of exercise and massive caloric restriction, very super low food intake without a metabolic consequence.
Well, yeah, because what you're talking about here is this was a question I was going to ask you. And you can finish this thought or go ahead and answer it right now.
Yeah.
What your thoughts are on the term "you're metabolically broken"? A lot of people don't realize that. And this is something I just started learning in the past couple of years. It's like, I never thought about it at that level, but some people are literally that bad. They've been metabolically broken by past diets or a TV show like that, or
I want to challenge how you think about that. So broken, not broken is really a state of what your body's used to. So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
So think of this as an experiment, but just a mind experiment. We're going to take 100 people and we're going to strand them on a deserted island. We're going to give them rations, right? We're going to give them rations.
Yeah.
Pick a number. How many calories a day? 1,500, 2,000, it doesn't matter. Pick a number.
If you want malnourished, we'll go 1,000. I mean,
1,000 calories a day. Perfect. That will help illustrate this well.
Yeah. Round number.
Now, on this island are skinny people, are fat people, are men, are women, are young people, are old people, everything. We're going to give them all 1,000 calories a day. We pick them up a year later. Every single person that comes off that island, their new metabolic rate is 1,000 calories a day. They are burning exactly what they're taking in, or they don't come off the island.
Interesting.
That's how the metabolism works.
Yeah.
Every year when I do seminars, I'll always pick somebody out of the crowd and I'll say, okay, Julie here in the front row. Julie, how much do you weigh? And she says, I weigh 130 pounds. I say, okay, Julie, what would happen if we change nothing about your diet except one thing? We add a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream every night before you go to bed, 1,000 calories of ice cream. And she laughs and she usually says, well, I'd be happy because I'd be eating ice cream every night. I said, but joking aside, what would happen? Well, I'd gain weight. Granted. How much weight, Julie? And she'll think about it and she'll usually say, how much in 30 days would you gain? And she'll almost invariably, she'll tell me, oh, maybe 5-8 pounds. Say, okay, how much weight would you gain in a year if you just kept eating a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream every night? She'll think about it and almost invariably she'll say 15 to 20 pounds. And what I tell her is, you know what? I know you're not a metabolic expert or a diet guru. This is what I do. And I'm telling you, you're right. You're intuitively right about how your body would respond. Except for everything you just said is 100% against how we understand the metabolism from a scientific and mathematical equation. See, because 1,000 calories a night, 7,000 calories a day, 3,500 calories in a pound of fat, you should gain 2 pounds a week, 52 weeks in a year. You should gain 104 pounds. Hey, anybody in this room, raise your hand if you think Julie's gaining 104 pounds and
Right.
there's not a single taker. Why? Because our metabolism has to adapt in order to keep us alive to increases and decreases in what we eat. So frustratingly and misunderstood is the fact that when we eat more, you will gain some weight, but eventually you'll plateau and your body will stop or dramatically slow the weight gain by raising your metabolic rate. And when you eat less, guess what? The exact same thing happens, which is why it always seems like diets work better the first time, nutritional plans work better the first time, exercise works better the first time, second or third rounds at it, it's slower, it's not always the same way. And once we drop a few pounds, it's like my body gets used to it and doesn't let me give any more weight. There's actually a way to identify when a person's body is ready to go into what in the bodybuilding world is considered a cutting cycle. And when somebody by default mathematically needs to go into a metabolic upregulating cycle, if we track someone's response and we know what they're eating, how they're training, we can actually map out and someone can say to me, all right, I want to lose 25 pounds by this date. And I can say, all right, you're going to lose 16 pounds by that date. And here's why. And here's how we get to 25 after that. And full circle back to the biggest loser clients. So I'm working with these people and some of them lost a tremendous amount of weight.
Sure.
Except the way they did it, now their metabolism is running so slow. So instead of losing 100 pounds in one shot, what they needed to do is they needed to decrease their intake enough, decrease their carbs or whatever tool we're using to trigger that adaptive response enough to lose, 20, 25 pounds, and then stop. Pause, give their body a little bit of time for metabolic upregulation where the metabolism can breathe again. Then go back, lose another 20, 25 pounds, rinse and repeat. The problem with that, Scott, it's terrible TV.
Yeah.
That's not interesting to watch.
No,
you see?
They're going to cut all that out and then only put in the stuff that has drama centered around it to keep you watching. And then you don't realize how they did it. And they don't give you the truth of what that is coming out of. That's why I can't stand the negative news networks and I can't stand reality TV because people get excited when they see this. They're like, oh my God, I know somebody who could benefit from that show. And then you find out, months after that show, these people have fallen back, gain all that weight back because
Sometimes that's the case.
They didn't teach their body anything sustainable and they didn't learn anything sustainable. Because to your point, people want everything now. To your point, it's like, no, let's baby step our way through this. Let's let the human biology is a powerful thing. It'll catch up. It'll adapt. Just give it enough time to do so.
And here's all my secrets. I'm going to teach you all my secrets right here. Here's how we metabolically upregulate someone. Not everybody has to start with this. A lot of people say to me, Angelo, I want to lose 40 pounds. And I say, okay, looking at your profile, looking at your baseline testing results, I'm going to be able to get about 20 to 25 off in our first cycle, and then the rest the second or third cycle. And here's how we upregulate someone when they reach that point where metabolically they're at homeostasis, they're not going to lose anymore. And this is a trick that I use, and now I'll throw out some names that you know, Rob Orlando, Ben Bergeron, a host of top 10 CrossFitters that I've gotten to work with.
Bergeron's got a good program.
Yeah. Oh, he's amazing. I've worked with a lot of coaches as coaches. He is fabulous. So for a lot of these guys in athletics, they're trying to upregulate their body to be able to push more fuel through them. They can recover faster, all the benefits that go along with that. So working with these guys or working with someone with a broken metabolism, here's what I say. All right, Bobby, tomorrow you're going to add that extra, piece of chicken or that extra turkey burger or that extra slice of avocado or that extra half apple to your diet, like we talked about. And then call me the day after. So he calls me the day after, like, what happened? Nothing happened. Perfect. We're going to add another half apple. You're going to add a quarter of banana. You're going to add whatever. Call me tomorrow. And then eventually, after 4, 5, 6 days, he calls me. He says, well, I gained a pound back. You just took 40 pounds off of me, and now I'm gaining a pound back. I said, perfect. Here's what you're going to do, Bobby. Tomorrow, you're going to go and burn that pound off. Now, here's the catch. You cannot eat a bite less food. You can eat everything I've told you to eat, every last bite. What you can do is you can do an extra session in the gym. You can spend an extra 15 minutes in your cardio workout. You can do a few more reps at your WOD for the day. That you can do. And you know what? He comes back to you the next day. And if I said, go burn 15 pounds off with exercise, he'd say, go jump off a bridge. Mm-hmm. But instead, he goes, 1 pound, I can do 1 pound. I got this. He comes back. He calls me up next day. Hey, Angelo, I did it. He's out of breath. Whew, that was tough, but I burned off that pound like you told me. Now what? I'll tell you what. Tomorrow, you're going to eat another half apple, another slice of avocado, another piece of jerky, and we're going to repeat that until you gain that pound back. And I'm going to make him gain and lose that same 1 to 2 pounds over and over again for anywhere for 3 to 5 weeks. And guess what we've just done? We've
reprogrammed them.
Bingo. And now I have leverage. Leverage is the all-important component. That's why people come to me every year at bodybuilding conventions. They say, Mr. Poli, because I take some competitors, whether it's physique or bikini or even bodybuilding, and put them on stage each year. I've done that for a number of years. And that doesn't represent my average client. But every year, someone will come up to me. Will say the same thing. Mr. Poli, your athletes look great. What do you have them eating? I give the same tongue-in-cheek answer, boiled chicken, broccoli. And then I wait for it.
Classic bodybuilding diet, yeah.
Classic bodybuilding diet. Would I look like that if I ate boiled chicken and broccoli? Nope, you wouldn't. Now, here's why. Because we know we wouldn't. But why? Really? Scientifically, why? Well, the reason is because there's nothing magical about boiled chicken and broccoli that causes someone to lose weight. Rather, it's the 6 months of upregulating their metabolism as they increased from 3,000 calories to 35 to 4 to 5,000 calories while they conditioned their body and built muscle and put more mass on, forced that metabolic rate towed up 60 miles an hour. Then after eating 4,000, 5,000 calories a day in a bulking cycle, they cut to 2,200 calories of boiled chicken and broccoli. The body fat incinerates off of them. Why?
Because the body takes it, goes after it.
Bingo. Contrast, leverage, weight loss. And here's the big secret that I've been shouting from the rooftops. Weight loss is not per se what you eat or how you exercise, but rather what happens when there's enough contrast between what your body is used to and what you change it to. And then what you get is a little bit of time. Because your metabolism, whatever you change it to, is going to adapt to keep you alive. The amount of time it takes for your metabolism to reacclimate up or down is the amount of time that you will either gain or lose weight for. That's how the body works in changing and fluctuating body composition.
I think another important component here, which you hinted earlier in the show, obviously nutrition. What
of course
is going in and what is going out. because
Absolutely.
part of that waking, I hinted at earlier, there's two key hormones that are influenced and are tied into your metabolism. This is the leptin and ghrelin. And leptin and ghrelin, one tells you you're satiated, one tells you you're not. But if you're on a like all carb loaded, like white potatoes and bread and crap, that first of all, the nutrient density of that is awful. Like you already dropped some nice things. Broccoli, nice rich vegetable. Avocados. Oh my God, Mother Nature's answer to healthy fats. I mean, just one of the most powerful products out of eggs. It's just, oh my God, I buy eggs by like 6 dozen at a time. Ridiculous. So I sit down and eat 6 egg omelets, and people are like, how do you do that? And I was like, well, because I've programmed myself to do that and I enjoy it. So,
yeah.
But I mean, back to your point, like earlier this year, I had to reprogram my body because I was CrossFit, and I've always been a cyclist. But then I had accidentally collapsed a lung in January.
Ooh.
And good times. Lung surgery, yada yada yada. And then I set the goal in the hospital bed. I was like, this is my year to make the lung strong, because I've always been more of an endurance athlete. So I was like, it's time to get hardcore back into the biking. So I set a goal that in June, I was going to try my first 100-mile mountain biking race, not road biking, mountain biking. And I do both, but I've never done that distance on a mountain bike. So I have to reprogram my body. I set the game plan in January. So for 6 months, I was changing my normal fitness programming, changing my dietary practices. Again, not following your programs, but I've been doing this long enough. I know how to reprogram myself. So, because people think, oh, Scott, you must have great genetics. Because I'm 6'4". Right now I'm at 190, building back to 195. And I used to take about 2 to 3 months to do that. And people are like, it's only 5 pounds. I'm like, again, not following your protocols. I'm like, I want it to be sustainable and I want it to be good. I'm not rushing into it. And I want my strength, because I'm increasing back into my CrossFit cycle for the winter.
That a boy.
So
a lot of people ask this because they want to know, well, Angelo, is MetPro, is it high carb, low carb? Is it gluten-free? Is it dairy-free? Is it vegan? Is it vegetarian? So just so that all the listeners understand, we actually go right down the middle. We're diet agnostic we let each.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah. I figured that.
So what I'm going to do is,
you're not a nutrition coach.
Someone can ask what's healthy and what's not. That is super relevant, super important. You don't need to hire me for that. There's lots of good information out there. You should know that, 3,000 calories of Oreos is not going to react in the body the same way as, et cetera, et cetera.
You're thrashing your gut bacteria right there.
So this is where technology comes in. So, innovations, and as tech has caught up, I've been like a kid in a candy store. I've been helping people transform for 2 decades in the industry, but it used to literally be writing it out or giving people a list. Remember the old Bill Phillips Body for Life, where you pick from column A, column B. So I mean, for years I've been taking this approach. Now I have the ability to make what I kind of coined the term kind of micro adjustments to someone's diet, where I'm just adjusting 15 grams one way or the other in each macronutrient on every few days. That's technology's role, where I can say, okay, you've been at this weight for this long and this is your intake. I'm going to adjust downward your carbohydrate intake by 20 grams. We're going to spread it across 3 of your 5 meals or whatever we're doing. Mm-hmm. At the time, and it's going to show up, and you got it right there on your phone, and all you have to do is, for lunch, I choose, here's the protein I want, here's the carbohydrate I want, here's the vegetable I want, here's the fat that I want, and it will do all the calculations for you and tell you exactly how much of each of those macronutrients to eat, in line with what your coach, what I have pushed to you, so that you're always within the guardrails. But you can choose whether you want red meat or chicken or fish or vegan protein powder or tofu or cottage cheese. You can choose whether you want this carbohydrate or that carbohydrate, but we educate on them. But what you won't find is any processed foods. You won't find any, because people say, well, I don't see pizza on this, right? I don't see packaged foods. I don't see, no. If your great grandparents could get it, it's on the list.
Yeah, I mean, supplements aside, those are important depending on people's
don't
nutrition.
even open that can of worms. You got another hour?
Yeah, that's a whole different podcast. But it's like, if you had to establish the baseline, don't overcomplicate it. Start with the whole program, literally whole foods. Everything do the classic stick on the perimeter of the grocery store, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Stick to the hole, and then you
that's
got
it.
a baseline to go off of, and it's not rocket science. But yeah, everything that's manufactured, now you got to complicate everything because you don't know what's
That's
all
it.
in there. So, and they're really good at hiding what's all in there.
Oh yeah, there's so many. Yeah, I mean, we
Another
could
whole podcast on that.
another whole podcast. So speaking of baseline testing, one of the things most people are surprised at is when it comes to exercise during baseline testing time period. So for those methodically minded out there and calculated, how do we actually get a good baseline? Well, the key is you don't change your activity level. So if you're sedentary, while I baseline test you, don't start exercising. In other words, I got Johnny here. It's like, Angelo, I did it. I ate everything you told me. I followed this baseline. I lost 5 pounds in 4 days. I'm like, well, Johnny, I see that you ran 10 miles over the last week. You usually run in the mornings? He goes, no, it's first time. I'm like, that's great. I'm thrilled. Good job. Of course, we have to do the baseline test over
You've
again.
skewed the data. Yeah.
You've skewed the data.
Yeah.
I need that data.
Well, that's a very good point. I think a lot of people underestimate that. Is, again, you got all this data you're going to try and cross-reference them into your algorithm. And it's like, guys, like I can't have it completely different. It's got to be where you're at today. And then we can do that. Because yes, I tell you all the time, if you've gone from manufactured crap to clean eating in the first week or two, you are going to feel an energy boost. You're going to want to go work out for the most
That's
part.
right.
Depending on where your metabolism is at.
Yeah, when you get rid of those outliers, and we help people with lists of, because so that aside, there are a few things humans enjoy more than good food and beverage, but that doesn't mean that it has to be an indulgence every day or every meal. And it doesn't mean that it has to be a cheat meal, has to be a dare either. So how do I know what's, merely acceptable versus going to be destruction for my progress? Well, we have education built in to help you identify. For example, not all alcohols are created equal. Some are merely unhelpful. Others will destroy your efforts. Know which is which, and on and on and on. So these are all parts of the equation. But I want, if it's all right with you, I want to touch just briefly on the 5th item, which is the psychological profile.
Oh, I'm all about mindset on this show. You're fine with that.
So
we got a couple minutes and then we'll have to
Okay.
close it out. But yeah, I'm all about mindset. People underestimate it.
At MetPro, we're concierge. So people ask, we're not the, $49 online coach. No, this is, you've seen our clients when you watched NBC and Fox last week. These are the people we work with. We will charge you for the program, but we're going to give you an education that you can take the rest of your life. We have more doctors than any other demographic. Why? Because they're interested in learning from data. So it would be remiss to call ourselves concierge transformation program if we didn't include a psychological component. So without getting into gory details, we need to identify if you're the type of person that works the best with your team working with you is supportive, cheerleaders, giving you that accountability and that nudge, but giving you support along the way. If you're the type of person that likes that, but what they really need to know is the why. In other words, I'll do what you tell me, but explain the science, Angelo. Yeah. Why are you having me eat this? How come I'm having a fruit and a carb with my snack and not with my lunch? Why are you doing this, that, or the other thing, for example? And once they understand the why, the education behind it, they're all in. And then finally, there's the psychological mindset where they want to know why, they want the support and the accountability, but really they need a challenge. If it's not put on the calendar, if they're not invited to rise to the challenge, it's not going to really move them. Yeah. So we have to figure out, and guess what? People say, well, I'm this way, I'm that way. You're all of those. Everyone is all of those things in different seasons and different circumstances, but most people will have a leaning. And so what we'll do is we'll match up. We don't have 300 coaches. We're not a matchmaker. All of our coaches are in one building. We have weekly meetings. We're doing a round table talking about here's a challenge that so-and-so is having nutritionally or with training. And these are all experts in different fields coming together, sharing a passion for data and strategy to solve your problems. We get together and we figure out, okay, what is the mathematical equation that this person needs now? What is the psychological motivation and how do we achieve that? How do we help this person to that?
That's good.
That's the fun part.
No, I tell people that all the time too. Like some people need more support. Me, I'm pretty independent. I set goals, and all of a sudden I start training for them. That is sometimes, and you are right though. Depending on where I'm at, I'm finishing my first book. I have an accountability partner from an authors group on that. I don't have an accountability partner for my workouts, but for that, psychologically, I needed a bit of a teammate thing just to help push
I did the same thing. When
Yeah.
I wrote my book, ironically, I hired one of my friends who was a writer for Men's Health at the time to train me and keep me accountable.
There you go.
Writing a book's hard.
Dude,
well done.
This author thing, man, it's messed up. I mean, I'm in the editing phase now, but I'm like, dear,
Nice.
the editing's worse. I thought the writing would be bad.
Oh,
Writing
no.
was nothing. It's
Nothing.
the editing.
Oh man, you got it. That's right.
Oh man, but
Scott, we have to do a round 2 of this. This was too good.
It was. And I knew it would. We're having my health and fitness nut. I love talking about business and entrepreneurship too, but it's like, dude, people don't understand. Your healthy lifestyle fuels the business, the entrepreneurship, your career, whatever you got. It's all intertwined. So I'm glad I hear that you guys are working on the mindset component too, because back to my earlier point in the show on the why. Like, guys, the stuff's going to hit the fan. You better have your mindset dialed in, or at least have a community if you need that to keep you going with the mindset. So
we have a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of guys and gals in their mid to late 40s into their 50s and beyond that are successful careers. And they call me up saying, you know, what's important to me now is my health. I want fitness. I want health. How much better, you know, and it comes back to the old adage of the ounce of prevention is worth the pound of cure. If you recognize this is an area that you can improve in, oh my gosh, all of my business entrepreneurs, all of my people that attack their career with passion, and they will all tell you they are more profitable, they are more productive, they feel better about all areas of their life when they respect themselves and take care of their health, their fitness.
And it works. I can't tell you, I've seen people get healthier and fit time and time again. They start succeeding more, making more money. It's all intertwined.
Yes.
You know, people take you more seriously in the professional space. People open their doors to you in the professional space.
Yep.
I was a sales professional for many years and still consult and still do it. And I'm like, trust me, I've closed a lot of business. But that's because I have people like, dude, why are you so fired up and energized all the time? And I'm like, healthy lifestyle.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
My fire is always burning, man.
That's awesome.
Well, listen, I always have my guest co-host help close out the show. And this actually is not this is not when, like, because we're going to have everything linked on the blog show notes. We're going to have all the stuff on livethefuel.com. That's fine. We got you covered. Cross-functional marketing, SEO, all that stuff. This is my question to all my guest co-hosts. It's kind of like more of a legacy related message. Like, what are some like final words you want to leave behind to people hearing this? Like, hey man, you know, yeah, Angelo's got a great company and MetPro's awesome, but why? Like, what are some final words, man? Like, what is your big picture message you're trying to put out there to the world? You know,
challenge what you know. There's always the next. Keep learning. At its core, there's nothing that frustrates me more than when we are referred to as a weight loss company. Yes, and 85% of our clients are the reference that you made, broken metabolism. Yeah. That's exactly who we work with. But that's not what lit my fire and got me into this. I'm passionate about education. So if you can learn more about how your body responds, you have the ability to accomplish things, strategies, techniques that can go with you a lifetime. So never stop learning.
I tell people all the time that old adage of, knowledge is power. I'm like, no, it's not. Anybody can acquire the knowledge. Are you going to execute on it? But more importantly, are you going to get yourself into a training environment that allows you to execute on it more effectively? And then, like you and myself, you eventually start learning so much stuff that part of that legacy message is like, okay, well, I had a great mentor of mine. He's like, Scott, he's like, you're a knowledge guy. Love it. But he's like, eventually you're going to reach a point where you know enough about a subject. It's time to start passing it on. He's like, that legacy, that is what builds wisdom. It's like, if you acquire all the knowledge, you don't pass it on to anybody or help anybody with it. What's the point?
That's
like,
right.
There's no, that's a definition that he like drilled into my head when it comes to wisdom. So I love the fact that you hit on that. That's nice. So well done.
Scott, this has been great.
It has been great. So listen, hang tight. I want to give a proper goodbye off the air. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Angelo, okay? The founder of MetPro. We already shared the site again, metpro.co. Everything's going to be on those show notes. I'm going to share one more time for the video feed. Again, concierge nutrition, fitness, lifestyle coaching. We geeked out a lot today about metabolism. If you need to geek out more, just go talk to those guys because that's what they do. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to fuel your health, your business, and your lifestyle. And Angelo definitely helped us do that today. So thanks for tuning in. And remember, you too can live the fuel, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.